Pop quiz. Can you tell me which of these food strategies is best for a long-term disaster or a crisis? Is it A, an aquaponics system, B, a one-year stockpile, or C, homesteading? If you didn't answer C, having a homestead, then please hold it right there, because you could be very vulnerable in the aftermath of a long-term disaster. Aquaponics systems can only give so much food, and they work on electricity, meaning that a blackout or an EMP will kill all your plants and fish. A large stockpile is a good backup, but hard to manage and gets expensive once it starts to grow. And after it's finished, you still need to eat, because everyone knows a long-term crisis could take 5 or even 10 years to get back to some sort of normal. My name is Dan F. Sullivan, and after years of prepping, I came to the conclusion that the only way to have a solid, steady food and water supply is to homestead. Homesteading is the only legal way I know of to become almost completely self-reliant from food corporations, the utility companies, the government, and Big Pharma. By harvesting hundreds upon hundreds of pounds of organic food year-round and collecting thousands of gallons of crystal-clear drinking water for free. It's the only way to take back your health by growing your own groceries and making your own food out of basic ingredients, such as cheese, bread, and even chocolate, just to name a few. Then you could stockpile the excess produce for dark days. The shelf life of ingredients is longer than that of the resulting foods anyway. So while other preppers pay thousands for overpriced, highly processed emergency food, you'll build your stockpile for free. Okay, I know all this sounds exciting, and by now you may be asking yourself, is homesteading for me? Unless you're a yuppie living in the city who wants everything handed to him on a silver platter, the answer is yes. Because you can do it whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s. You can do this even if you live in the scorching Mojave Desert or the freezing Alaskan tundra, even if you don't have that much money, and even if you live on 1/10 of an acre or 400 square meters. When you add up all the things you could be making instead of buying, you'll save a ton of money. I'm talking about saving at least $200 per person in monthly expenses on things like personal hygiene products, clothing, and even on furniture. For example, you could save $2.50 on each bottle of mouthwash by making your own. That's a whopping 90% off retail price. You could make your own wine for less than $8 a bottle. And keep in mind, your wine kit will last you years on end, so the cost per bottle will decrease the more wine you make. You could save $50 on a new pair of jeans that you'll recondition yourself, and save at least $150 per winter month by getting a high-efficiency wood stove. Wood is by far the cheapest fuel there is. Sometimes you can even get it for free, and other cheap options are available. And this is just the beginning. You can grow and harvest your own organic eggs from free-range healthy chickens and milk, and make your own cheese and delicious treats such as pie, marshmallows, and cheesecake. Excellent comfort post-collapse foods that will be served fresh. It's like having your own personal supermarket just a few feet away from you, but not the kind that sells processed meat full of hormones and steroids, veggies full of pesticides that have absolutely no taste at all, not to mention all the other junk full of preservatives. Those things are poison, and the only reason we got to this point is because of this consumerist, interdependent society we all live in that could crumble like a house of cards if something like an economic disaster hits. If that happens, all of the things we now take for granted will be gone, including basic necessities. Millions will be fighting tooth and nail for the last can of tuna. When good people turn into savages, the last place you want to be is on the street looking for food. Instead, you and your family could be sitting pretty on your homestead, completely safe for years on end, and with very little outside interaction, with everything you need at your fingertips. So let me cut right to the chase and show you how to start a high-performance homestead from the ground up. Like I said, my name is Dan F. Sullivan. You may know my website, survivalsullivan.com, where I and a dozen writers post regular, high-quality articles on a variety of topics, ranging from homesteading to prepping. You may have read some of them on the top websites, such as Backdoor Survival, The Prepper Journal, American Preppers Network, Personal Liberty, Zero Hedge, and InfoWars, to name a few. But what you may not know about me is that I started to homestead when I was only 6 years old, and I would spend summers with my grandparents in a remote village of only 200 people, 18 miles away from the nearest town. The perfect place for a survival retreat, I might add. We lived there in almost complete self-sufficiency. In fact, we rarely went to town because we had everything we needed.